Hello students, in this video we are going to quickly talk about some salient features of dynamic programming problem and then apply this dynamic programming problem to understand that how we can use it to solve water allocation problem in reservoir. So what we have learned so far is that whenever we talk about dynamic programming, we want to express an n variable problem into n single variable problems. So what does that mean? That we can generally write our objective function fx as x1 square plus x2 square plus x3 square and xn square if it takes some form. And we say that this is a one function in n variables. And we have already learned about various techniques, including Lagrange multipliers, that we can, given constraints or given this objective function, we can easily solve for the optimization by taking n differentials and so on. However, the problem arises is that when the system is changing with respect to time, and that's where we resort to dynamic programming, and then we try to take the same system. That is, the objective function is still that we want to maximize the sum total of parts. But now our focus is that we will first take just xn square, that is what is happening at the last time step, then we'll move backward and so on. And wherever we stand, using Bellman's optimality principle, we look forward. That is, from here, we have to optimize the entire system. And when we reach at this point, ultimately, we should be able to perform the calculations such that we know that what is the best solution up to here and then add this new element, and hence the entire system is optimized. So to make it clear, we'll try to look into more examples as we did for water allocation problem in case of cities. We can also extend that to a reservoir problem. Now, there are another things that we have to keep in mind is that whenever we talk about dynamic programming problem, we are interested to understand what is stage or state of the system at beginning, and then what are the possible feasible states associated with that particular stage where we are. So, for example, we call that when we were talking about user 1, user 2, user 3. So, these are the three stages in the system. And at each stage, we want to identify all the possible states that this user can take, or what are the possible boundary conditions if they are specified to us. And by satisfying that boundary conditions, what are the other states we can have. And then what we do, we move backward and try to make the best decision for entire system up to that point wherever we have reached. Now, when we look at the reservoir operation problem, as I mentioned in class, that reservoir is a complex system because we are having a dam here. There would be a reservoir here, which where some water would be stored. And at each time step t, let us say that we are talking about monthly time scales. In month of June, there would be some precipitation happening because of monsoons. And when this monsoons happen, this water will rise, and when water will rise, this surface is also not another smooth surface. The surface area of this pond where water is collected will change, and that would impact at what rate evaporation, not the rate, but what is the volume of water that is going to evaporate. So what one thing is for sure is that the total amount of water is conserved because the only source of incoming water is IT, outgoing water is ET, and if we are going to make any relays T, and in some cases we also account for the groundwater losses. But for first few examples, we will account say that let us say that ET and GT, that is groundwater losses and evaporative losses, are not constituting the major part. Now, when we talk about the problems on reservoir operation, we are essentially looking to maximize our gains, and these gains will come whenever we release some water from the reservoir. So if this water, for example, in month of June goes to farmers, they would grow the crops, and this crop is going to have some market value, and we say that that is the gain that we got by supplying some water to farmers. Similarly, if we give water to industries or water to power plants, we are going to get the production gains, and hence water would only be beneficial if it is released from this reservoir in some optimal quantity. But we have to also look for the conservation of mass principle. That means our release at any time t, it has to be less than what is the amount of storage that is present in the reservoir, and what is the what is the volume of precipitation IT we are going to get in that particular month. So we are saying that this is an average constraint equation that should always be there, that release at any time t should be less than total amount of water that is available in the month. And here, as I said, so losses should be subtracted, that it should be minus ET minus GT, but for simplification, this is after ignoring all the losses, we can write RTS less than ST plus IT. Now, with this introduction, we can try to state this problem of reservoir operation is as a optimization problem. So here our decision variable is how much water should be released from a reservoir in each period. Why we are interested in periods? Because if we talk about month of June versus month of July versus month of August, the requirement of water downstream, they are going to be different depending upon amount of precipitation we are receiving. Also, the returns that we are going to have for different months may be different. That is, if we release 1 unit of water in month of May, where when the monsoons have not reached into major parts of India, we are going to expect higher returns because that time marginal utility of water is higher. However, if we release the same amount of 1 unit of water from a reservoir in month of August, that may or may not be of that much use to a farmer, and hence we clearly see that marginal utility of commodity decreases. So we are looking at this release as function of our this release as function of time, that is month of June, July, August. Our release amount could be different. Also, release depends upon how much water is present, which is total amount of I and S, which we have already spoken about. And our objective in this case is to maximize the gains because we have built a reservoir as a water resource management project. And at hindsight, the reason that we have built these reservoirs is to maximize gains. These gains could be in form of minimizing losses because of flooding, or maximizing the production, or managing droughts and so on. And we always have constraints because whenever we talk about objective, the optimization, three things that we should always ask is that what is our decision variable, that what we are trying to maximize or minimize, what is the objective, and what are the constraints. So one constraint is that each reservoir is going to have some capacity, because as I said that beyond this dam, if this water level exceeds top of the surface, then we would have some spillovers here, and basically our storage has to be less than or equal to the capacity, because you cannot store more than whatever, for whatever capacity you have built the dam. Also, your release should follow the continuity equation. That means your release should be less than total amount of resources that are available. And finally, we apply this continuity equation in the discrete form, and we say that if we had ST as the storage at time t, some more water entered, we released some, and some water got lost because of evaporation. In that case, storage at next time t is a function of what was the total fluxes that happened at previous time step. So these are three constraints and objective functions and decision variable that we would need with or keeping our objective in mind, that let us maximize the gains. So if it is not clear, let us try to look into a solved example. Now, given that so many tabular calculations keep on going back and forth, what I have already done, I have solved this example already for you. What I would do is I will share these notes, so go through them in case you do not follow any part, but the solution is very similar to the water allocation problem we did in previous video. That's why I took this leverage to solve this question before recording the lecture. Now here the question is that inflows during month of June, July, August and September in reservoir of capacity 4 million meter cube happens to be 2, 1, 3 and 2 million meter cube respectively. It is also given that reservoir at beginning of, it should not be June, but at beginning, it should not be March, but at beginning of June is empty. That means that storage is, there is no storage, and we are just relying on the first precipitation to keep build our storage. Also, it is mentioned that assuming that for all months, the benefits that we are going to get from release is going to be same. So this could be thought of some billion rupees that we may earn, and we have standardized all these in terms of units, because I mean billions, millions, they are just scaling factors. So we say that if we release 0 unit of water in any given month, our benefits are going to be minus 100. If we release 1 unit, 200. If we release 7, 120 and so on. So question is that we have to identify the optimal reservoir operation policy so that our gains are maximized. So what this reservoir operation policy means is that if we on y-axis we plot the word release, and on x-axis we have time, which in this case is months. So optimal release policy is that how much water we should release in each month. Should the trajectory of release look like A, or it should look like B, or it should look like C, and whatever gives us the maximum gains, that should be our the release policy that we should follow. Because it could happen that okay, whatever water we get in 1 month, we release everything there, and we see that as the release is increasing, our benefits are not monotonically increasing. For some releases, that is even for higher releases, we are going to have less returns as compared to some of the median releases, and that is where we have to optimize. Second thing is that these units are going to be big. So as I said, it could be billion rupees or $1 billion. So the sensitivity of system is high. That 480 is very different from 350 in present case. So we have to be mindful of that. Now what we will do, we will try to first of all try to express this problem as a problem of dynamic programming. You see that we have various months here: June, July, August, September, October. So what we did is that we marked that first time interval as t equal to 1, t2, t3, t4. We have also specified that how much precipitation has taken in first month between June to July. It is given as 2, 1, 3 and 2 for other months also. Also, we are given that storage at beginning of June is equal to 0. So we know that boundary condition is specified somewhere here. So we will move in this direction. That means we will optimize the decisions here. Then we will move here. Then we will move here. Finally here. And as we reach here, we have already optimized these three systems or three stages as per Bellman's optimality principle. So when we do calculations for June, we already have answers for July, August, September, and so on. So let us begin with the first block, and I will say that this corresponds to t equal to 4 and this is n equal to 1, because n equal to 1 indicates which calculation we are doing here. So the first state that is possible here the state is going to be the what is the amount of storage that is available at in the beginning of September. So our stage in this case essentially means how much storage we have. So if we have 0 unit of storage, this amount of precipitation is given to us. That in month of September to October, we have no control on I4 because it is happening because of an atmospheric process. So we are going to get 2 units of precipitation. Now our initial storage is 0. Our I4 is 2. Now we have three options that either we release 0 unit of water, 1 unit of water, or 2 units of water. And from our release table, we already know the values corresponding to the benefits that we will get from each unit of release. So if we release 0 unit, minus 100, 200, 320, and it is clear in this case that we should go for the release of 2 units in case our S is 0. Our S is 0, but because that 2 unit of precipitation that is happening in month of September allowed us to release 2 units of water. And this is again a continuity equation that we are not violating because our release is less than equal to S4 plus I4, and the benefits that we are going to get is 250. Now let us move to second case, that when our S is equal to 1, that is 1 unit of storage was present when month of September started, and 2 units of water would be added by precipitation. And also remember that we can store up to 4 units of water. If the S plus I becomes 5, then there is a mandate that release has to be equal to 1, which we will eventually see. Now when S4 equal to 1, I4 equal to 2, we can release 0 or 1 or 2 or 3, and the benefits are given as minus 100, 200, 320, 350. And again we will make the optimal choice that let us go with the benefits, maximize benefits of 350, which would entail the release of 3. Similarly, when our initial storage is given as 2, 2 more units of water is going to come as precipitation, so we can release 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are benefits again given from the table, and again we say that let us go with 480, and we should release the 4 units of water to maximize our gains. Now this is something that you have to see very carefully. What happens when initial storage is equal to 3 and 2 units of precipitation are definitely going to come. Now 3 plus 2 is 5. Our reservoir capacity, that dam that we have built, it can store maximum of 4 units of water. That means anyways 1 unit of water is going to get spilled over. So the release, minimum release that we can have is going to be equal to 1, and hence we can either release 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, and we know the benefits associated with all these 5 releases. And you clearly see that if 5 units of water are available, please release all 5 of them so that our gain is maximal to the amount of 520. Now the final state that is possible is that we can start month of September by having a full reservoir, which essentially means that we have a storage of 4. 2 more units of water come, it becomes 6, but our storage capacity is maximum 4. So 2 has to be released, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 could be our potential release. We look at the maximum, 520 is the maximum, and hence we should release out of 6, 5 units of water at the end of, by the end of October, by the end of September, and 1 unit of water would be stored in the reservoir. Now, if you remember that this first table corresponds to the state that t equal to 4 and n equal to 1. That is, n equal to 1 indicates on what table we are. Now what we will do, we will move backward, and in second case, we will try to solve for both these cases. That is, we will stand here and we will look forward and try to optimize these two systems. Now again, what we will do is that first of all, we will identify what are the possible values are S3. S3 is at the beginning of August, that what value our state can take. So again 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, because 4 is the maximum allowed storage. Amount of precipitation that we are going to receive between August and September is given as 3 units. So input is going to be 3. Now when 3 units of water is available and 0 is the storage, our possible releases could be 0, 1, 2 and 3, and we get the benefits associated with all these releases. Now what we have to do here is be very careful that now, because of whatever decision we are going to make with the release of 3, it is going to impact the state at the beginning of September. So for example, 3 units of water was available to us between the month of August and September, and if we release 0 during that month, we are going to have the state at beginning of September or storage as 3. And we have already solved that when storage or state at beginning of September is 3, our optimal answer is 520. So what we will say here is that if S4 is 3, we already know our answer 520. If S4 is equal to 2, we will go to our previous table and see the highlighted color, which in this case is highlighted as 480. So we'll come back to our table and we will say that we know that corresponding to S equal to stage 4 equal to 2, our release are going to be 480. And the relationship that we are using here is that your S4 is equal to S3 plus I3 minus R3, because this is going to be the storage ST plus 1 equal to ST plus IT minus RT, the same continuity equation that we just applied. So we can write the expressions based corresponding to these states, and then what we will do, as we did in water allocation problem, add these plus this, 200 plus 480, 320 plus 350, 350 plus 320, to get the total gains that we have for these two states whenever initial state at beginning is 0. And we say that the maximum value comes in the case of 680. That would mean that R3 star, the release that we have to make here to get maximum benefit, is equal to 1, and 2 units would be passed to the S4 because this corresponds to 680. That means S4 would be 2, and the total gains are going to be 680 in this case. Similarly, we move to S3 equal to 1. Input is 3. R3 can take value of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what we do is we calculate all the gains that we have mentioned here, and again go back that if S3 is 1, I3 is 3, some releases are made. What are the possible values our S4 can take? So it can take 43210. We populate that gain table that corresponding to S4 equal to 4. Our maximum gain was 520, so we write 520 directly. So is the case for 3, 2, 1, and 0. And then we add this 520 with 100, 520 with 200, 480, 320, and this is where Bellman's principle is coming into action. That is, we stand there without worrying that how this is equal to 1 or this is equal to 0. In each of these rows, we are maximizing the gains given that this state is given, and we are able to see the entire system downstream. So what we see here, we get 800, and corresponding to that, we see that either we make a release of 2 or make a release of 4, our gains are going to be same, and hence we have two possible values of 2 and 4 as releases at 3 corresponding to S3 equal to 1 that are going to give us maximum gain. Now when S3 equal to 2, and we know that precipitation that is going to happen is 3, then 2 plus 3 becomes 5. Capacity of reservoir is 4. That means the possible releases cannot be 0. So it has to be either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we again populate the table. Same values. That means just look at the table first, that if release is 1 unit, what is the gain? If release is 1 unit, what is the updated state at the beginning of September? For corresponding to 4, we go back to the table of S1 and populate all these values and add these and identify the optimal solution. So in previous case, 800 was the optimal solution. Here we see that 840 is the largest value. So release corresponding to 2 and 5 gives us the optimal releases corresponding to S3 equal to 2. We do the same calculation with S3 equal to 3, I3 is still 3, 3 plus 3 is 6, reservoir capacity is 4. So we have to definitely release 2 units of water. Then we go all the way from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because our release cannot be greater than the total amount of water that is available with us. Again, we look at the gain tables and we keep on doing these calculations by identifying that the total maximum is happening at 960 corresponding to the release of 4 units of water out of available 6. And for S3 equal to 4, we again do the similar calculation and we see that maximum gain happens when we release 4 or 5 units of water out of 7 units that is available. Now we have already solved for these two sets. Now we move backward and integrate t equal to 2 here. So what we do here, we write S2 equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 as possible states. We know that incoming water is 1 unit. So we know that S2 plus I2 equal to 1. Based on that, release has to be less than equal to that. When this is 2, 0, 1, 2, 2 plus 1, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. When it becomes 4 and 1, 5. So release has to be at least 1 unit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then again, we look at the returns just by this release. Returns because of the updated state at time at S3, for which we already calculated in the table, add with the returns that we have calculated in our previous table, that is T3 and 2, and we again identify what are the releases that we are going to make. Finally, we reach the first or the end of our boundary conditions. That means we know that here our state can only take the value, storage has to be equal to 0 at beginning of this period. So in last case, we are left with a very simple table that our state has to be 0. Our inflow is equal to 2. That means our release in this case can be either 0, 1 or 2. If release is 0, immediate gains are minus 100, 200, 320. And our storages at the beginning of next period are going to be 2, 1 and 0. If our storage is 2, we go back to the previous table because we have already solved for the entire system downstream, and we clearly see that the maximum gains that we are going to get is 1120 from that table. So we will highlight that and say that 1120 is the gain that we got maximum in that table. Then we, for R1, release is 1. We go to the previous table, look at the value corresponding to state equal to 1. When release is 2, we look at this value. And finally, we say that if we make release of 1 or 2 in first month, that is going to be our optimal policy. And since everything is tied to the continuity, that means if we, two decisions are possible. So let me show one. So if we make a release of 2 units in first month, that is in month between June and July, what would happen is that if release corresponds to 2, that means that we are somewhere here. That means that S2 is going to be 0. Then we go to S2 equal to 0. We see that in that case, release has to be 1. So our optimal policy is R1 star equal to 2, R2 star equal to 1. And when we make 1 unit of release from here, that means again we have 0 storage at the beginning of period 3. So 0 gives us the solution of 1. So R3 equal to 1. And when this is equal to 1, we end up with 0 here. And if we go backward, uh, this comes out to be not 4 but 3. That means if this state corresponds to 0, if we go to 0 here, we say that the release that we have to finally make in this case is that 3 units of water are coming in. And uh, if we go to the first table, our release is going to be the maximum possible value, which corresponds to the case of 3. And this becomes our optimal operating policy. That means that from this table, we kept on going back, and wherever these values are possible, we see that from previous tables that corresponding to that release, what is the next state? For that state, we already have a maximum value, and you can always check like the accuracy of these calculations. But I hope that you see that what is the similarity between water allocation problem to households and water allocation problem from the reservoirs. Thank you.